So my name is Matthew Belopavlovich, and I'm the lead theater teacher at the Patel Conservatory here at the Straz Center, and I teach acting to ages 3 through adults, and also work on summer camps like our Shakespeare Intensive. At a very early age, we had a outdoor theater called American Players Theater, and it was in probably like 45 minutes outside of my hometown. And we went there and we would see shows outside. It was outdoor Shakespeare, and we would have a talk back with the cast afterward. And it was just really engaging, and it was Shakespeare in a way that was approachable for young people. And I think that's sometimes a stigma about Shakespeare, is that it's hard to approach or hard to dissect. And so as a young person, seeing these actors really bring to life and understanding what they were saying in the story, it was magical, and so that was kind of my introduction to Shakespeare, a good one. One of the best productions, Shakespeare productions that I've seen was with Milwaukee Shakespeare. I'm from Wisconsin, so Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they have a Shakespeare company out there. They perform 4 or 5 plays, and one of the productions they did while I was in college was Cymbeline. And I was very unfamiliar with Cymbeline, but when I saw the clown in it, the character in it that's kind of comedic, I was just in love with the comedy of Shakespeare, and that was probably one of the best roles that I had seen, one of the best representations that I had seen of clown in Shakespearean comedies. One of the biggest things in Shakespeare that stands out to me when I'm watching a show, and what I think engages with all audiences, would be the literal gesture, or the gesture that's used by a character, and the physical connection the character has. I think that when an audience maybe doesn't understand a word or doesn't understand what the character is saying, their physicality, their gestural language can communicate that, and it can be the backup plan in a way. So if you have a character that's very connected and knows what they're saying, but also is doing that and acting it out or connecting with the audience on a physical level, that I think is one of the big standouts for me. So I am a huge fan of site-specific theater and doing theater in unique places, and when I see a company or a Shakespeare production that takes the language and is able to maintain the integrity but set it in a different place, or tell the story in a different way but with Shakespeare's language, I think that's always unique, and finding that delicate balance is difficult, but when a company does it or when a troupe does it, it's really cool. And I think that's a huge standout, is using the language in a way that is still current to us today. American Shakespeare Company, they have music before and during the show, and music was very much an inviting sort of device for the audience, but also it was another way to communicate what was being said. In the way I was speaking about physicality, too, music can help us understand, just like in movies. And the connection of music in Shakespeare can make it, again, more approachable. So that's one of the first things that come to mind. And then just the musicality of the phrasing and the iambic pentameter, and how he structured his sonnets, and the beauty of that. That has a musicality to it, to itself. One of the coolest companies that's out there is called Synetic. And I don't know too much about the music side of the connection there, but Synetic Theater in Washington, D.C., they take a Shakespeare text and they completely dance it. They only use music and dance. And there's no language, there's no text, and it's magical. They're finding music that fits the emotion and the theme, and they're creating physical language and choreography to tell this story. And I think that was one of the coolest connections or collaborations that I've heard about. Shakespeare found a way to sometimes tell the truth without diving too deeply into a specific person's real truth. So we're seeing these kind of stories that we can all relate to, but they're not about one specific person, and that differs from how plays were being presented, because we were writing spoofs of government or those kinds of living in that world. And then I think he romanticized kind of these stories that were all-encompassing. And we now see those types throughout music and movies and our culture. And I do think that Shakespeare played into how we tell a story and the structure of a story and how we hear a story. And again, echoing back into the music world too, I think people wanted a piece of that and enjoyed what had been presented by him and wanted to become a part of that artistic movement. And then that funneled into how we tell our stories today.